Hello everyone, so in this week's video I am going to be showing you how to create a face cast of yourself. So you're going to need some mod rock, and I've cut it up into different little pieces, some water, some Vaseline, a mirror with you in the reflection obviously, a headband to move all of your hair out of your face because you don't want your hair in the mod rock. So let's begin. So putting the headband on, pushing all of my hair out of my face. I'm just tucking it all under this headband just to make sure it's all out of my face because I don't want any mod rock in it. Then I'm taking some Vaseline and we're going to go heavy and thick with this. So you're going to want to apply it over your eyebrows, both of them, in all of your hairline and a bit further than that, just in case, and then any facial hair that you have, like a beard, moustache, anything like that. Once that's complete, you want to take out any facial piercings or ear piercings, just in case you get mod rock on them, and then we can crack on. So taking your bowl of water and then some mod rock just cut up like this, you want to dip it in the water, then smooth it out like that, get the majority of the water off, place it down onto your face where you're going to begin, and it will have little small holes in. You want to make sure all the holes are completely smooth and covered, especially on your first layer, as this will pick up the most detail. So mod rock is like a bandage with like plaster of Paris in it. So when you dip it in water, it activates the plaster of Paris, and then when you smooth it out, that's the plaster just like taking this mold of your face. So I'm just working around my whole face, being careful around my eyes. I'm trying to get as close as I can without getting it in my eyes. And then I am going to cover my mouth, but I'm going to leave my nostrils free just so I can breathe, but working around my nostrils to get the best, most accurate cast I can. When doing this, you're going to want to try and not move as much, so make sure you're not chewing, or you're not going to need to talk to anyone for about an hour and things like that, because if you move you may ruin the final result of the face cast. So you're going to want to stay as still as possible. Now I'm just working down my neck, and I'm going to be working on my chest and shoulders. However, you'll see in a minute my camera did cut out when I moved on to doing my shoulders. If you are going to be doing this, I do suggest you get some help of a friend or family member, because when I took the cast off I realised it wasn't going to work. So you'll see that I do trim it down and take away the shoulder and chest piece and leave it just face and neck. Make sure that you do at least 2 to 3 layers. Once you've done your first layer, this will just give it strength and something stronger, so that when you pour the cast stuff in, it will like not collapse and it will hold its shape, so it will be more accurate. So to get this off, you have to pull loads of like weird faces, just stretch out your face underneath the cast to make it remove. And then you're just going to want to slowly peel away at the edges. Just make sure you've gave it at least half an hour to an hour to dry, and then peel it off. You'll know when it's dry because you'll be rock solid and you won't even be able to like move at all. Like, it's so weird. So this is what I was left with, just checking it all fits, putting it back on, taking it off, just making sure there's no bits that I can see through, so it's all one solid block. And then as you can see here now, I've just trimmed off that chest and shoulder piece because it wasn't going to work, and then this is just what it looks like. Then I have covered my nostrils and eye sockets with some more of that mod rock. As you can see, I've made the eyes slightly bulged, whereas in my other face cast the eyes are like dipped inwards, which was the mistake that I made, because if I make eye prosthetic pieces, my eye will get attached to the piece, which I don't really want. So to make the actual face cast in itself, I've took some cooking spray, but you can use Vaseline, different oils or things like that, and I've just sprayed a thick load inside the cast we've just made, and then used a brush to make sure everything was covered. Then eyeballing some plaster of Paris and water, mixing it together like this. It's usually you put some water in a bowl and then put in some plaster of Paris, and you'll know when it's ready because it will create like an island in the middle. That's how you know you've got enough. Once I've mixed it all together and it's this thickish kind of water, I'm going to want to work quickly because it will start to set, and I'm just splatting it into the face cast. This will try and like get rid of as many air bubbles as possible because we don't really want them, because we want a smooth, clear surface just like our face. We don't have any holes in our face, do we? No, it's nice and smooth. So as you can see here, I've had to mix a second batch, so you're going to want to do something like this called cross-hatching before the base layer dries. This will just make sure that the second layer you pour in will bond well with that. Then I'm just doing that same again, tapping it here as you can see to get rid of any air bubbles before it completely sets. Then I'm just constantly building up until my cast is full. And now you can see I've put some cling film down, because if you're like me, you want a smooth surface just so it's easier to work on. So I've put some cling film down. I'm using my fingers just to smooth it out so it's nice and flat, so it's easier to work on when it's removed and things like that. So I've left it for about half an hour to an hour to harden. It will still probably be warm, so you just want to slowly peel it off and being careful that in case any of it is still wet. And then once you've peeled it off, so you're left with this cast of your face, I've just took one of these sponges with a rough edge and I've just started like buffing away, just making sure it's nice and smooth all over my whole face cast. Once that's complete, you're going to want to take some sharp tools like these, or you could take a toothpick or things like that, and we're going to start outlining details which didn't pick up too much, like the inside of my mouth or my nostrils, just so it's got more definition and it creates a better result when we take the prosthetics off, which we will make on this cast. So I'm just working around my eyes, the mouth and nose, and just any bits around the edges which I think need smoothing down or aren't actually on my face, because you get little cracks in the mod rock which when you pour the plaster of Paris in, they will show up and you just want to get rid of them. If that doesn't work, you can do what I'm doing here and take a nail file. Some paper may be too harsh on the face cast, so I took a nail file. I'm just filing away at different parts which I feel need to be smoother and have a nicer blend, like them creases which I said, and then just working on in more detail around my eyes, nose and mouth again, and I was left with this. So as you can see, my eyes are slightly bulged. This will create better for when I'm making prosthetics around my eyes, just in case I make some using my liquid latex and flower technique, just so I've got like some space for my eyes to like open and close without having the prosthetic stuck onto my actual eyelids and stuff. So as you can see here, there are some little holes and like dents in the face cast. This is completely optional, but you can just leave them. However, if you do want to, you can take some more plaster of Paris mixed together and you can fill them in and then sand them all the way down with either a nail file or sandpaper and just make it all smooth. However, I've left this one because I didn't want to. Now, taking some PVA glue, we're going to create like a top coat over these. So you're literally just going to want to put some PVA glue straight onto the face cast and just taking like a sponge or something, as you can see here. I'm just sponging it over my whole face cast really thick, and I'm doing about 2 to 3 layers of this because it will just create a seal, and then if the seal does ever break, you can always apply more PVA and this will just prevent breakage and damage onto the actual face cast itself. I hope you liked this video and found it helpful and handy. If you liked it, please give it a like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff, and I will see you next week for a new video. Goodbye.